Welcome to the Postalmate webinar, Required Harmonized Codes and more. My name is Karen Grant and I'll be your instructor today. We're glad to have you. This is a very, very big webinar. We have almost close to 1,000 stores signed up for this. So that's a huge portion of our database. So here we go. We're going to get right into it as we always do. Not a lot of precursor stuff happening. I'm going to pop your balloons on this one because this is new. And there's some things here. So the EU shipments require harmonized codes. So anything going to the EU plus 2 other countries are going to require harmonized codes for every single item in a box. And you know at Christmas time, what a headache that can be. So let's talk about, I'm going to try to make it as easy on you as possible. So let's talk about, first of all, what is a harmonized code? And it's a 10-digit number that tells the country of import, where it's going, what the items are in it. And it's kind of to eliminate the language barrier between different countries. So everything has an easy to look up. So a baseball hat will have the same number in pretty much every country. So the first 6 digits are the same throughout the world. And the last 4 digits are unique to the country that it came from, although there is a standardization and the United States participates in that. So the last 4 for the United States is similar to much of the world, but other countries, let's just say Botswana, because I have no idea, they might have a different last 4 than the United States, but our common bigger countries of the world will probably be more aligned with what the United States is using because we are using a uniform system. And the harmonized code is used for applying duties and taxes. So if you have the wrong harmonized code on there, duties and taxes may be higher or lower if they take your word for it on that harmonized code. It is designed to streamline things and make it easier for customs officials and to make it easier to collect duties and taxes. So the next question is, do I have to do this? Well, sort of. So let me explain what that means. DHL, we're going to talk about them first. Their official position is to request that the store include the harmonized code. It's called the Harmonized System Code on all shipments, and that means for every item. However, if that code is missing, DHL will try to make the adjustments at the gateways as they do now. Now, I caution you, this can result now in a service issue, meaning a delay or the wrong duties and taxes. So it is your responsibility. If you choose not to act on that responsibility, DHL will try to pick up the pieces. But if they're not accurate, then it can be a problem. So what about the other carriers? So we reached out to UPS and FedEx and they have not responded yet. And these are big new rules. I think DHL, you know, let's face it, they're the biggest international shipping company in the world. They know what they're doing. They're very proactive on this. I don't know why we have not heard yet from FedEx and UPS, but let me assure you, this is not a DHL rule, and it is a European Union rule, and nobody gets to escape it. UPS doesn't get to escape it. FedEx doesn't get to escape it. It's there. So if we haven't heard anything yet, my guess is we will hear something in the future. It's supposed to be effective on March 15th. So just around the corner. So we plan these webinars. We're very date driven. Now, does it include the post office? That I cannot tell you. I don't have information that it does or does not include the post office. The post office does run under some different rules in the international community. So it is possible that they may have a different date, the same date, or not have to have it at all. We just don't know yet. So here's the big key to the number one thing, if you take away from this webinar that you have to do starting, well, so let's say Saturday for outgoing packages on Monday, international. Let's just get used to doing it on all shipments to all places for international. Get detailed descriptions. That way, if you don't have time or can't find the harmonized code, you've given enough description to the carrier that their experts will be able to find it. So the descriptions that we're listing here, those are yesterday's descriptions. You can't use these anymore. Those are gone. So all of those types of things, gone. Don't do it. Not going to happen. Okay. Their customer's going to give you a lot of excuses why they can't give you any detailed descriptions. I don't know what's in the box. Somebody might steal what's in my box. You know, you've heard them all. In fact, early on in my days in shipping, this is okay, really scary, 36 years ago. One of my first international shipments that was lost, the customer came in and accused me of stealing it personally. Now, first of all, I don't think I look much like a thief. Do you think I look much like a thief? I don't think so. But second of all, the package contained brand new, shiny golf balls. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that's about 10 millionth on my list of things that I would ever want to purchase, let alone steal. So my last game of golf was miniature golf about 40 years ago. So, you know, but they look at you like, well, you know, why do you need to know this stuff? And you know, and when it's something like, you know, an Xbox that's hard to get and stuff like that, they're going to be real creepy about it. So the fact is, they're going to think that you know, you were somebody's going to steal it along the way. And the fact is, if you're writing the contents on that customs form and it's there for everybody to see, and it's going to, you know, some Timbuktu place, it could get stolen, but that's international rules and your customer just has to live with that. Get very detailed descriptions. We're going to talk about how detailed shortly. So with these excuses, the best thing I can say to get those no's out of the way is to have a sign in your store. So that just basically informs, because when your customers see things in writing, I'm not saying they believe things 100% in writing, but they're more likely to believe it. They know that you're not just trying to figure out what's in the box to see if you want it, or if your kid wants it or whatever. So have a sign. So this sign, for example, is available now on the RS website for those of you who are RS Associate members. And also Annex Brands. If you happen to be an Annex Brands store, they also have a sign with similar information available on their resource page. So please go and look that up and see if that's something you want to print, frame, and have in your store. It's just a really good idea. I think it really helps things. And so let's go through the contents, and I promise, we're going to look up some harmonized codes together so you can see what it's like. So here's old descriptions of contents. These are the things we used to do. And I can't emphasize this enough. This is the number one thing, again, that you're supposed to take away from this webinar is having detailed descriptions of contents. So here's kind of the new things. And any time it's clothing, and I didn't do it in all the clothing, or let's say textile, make sure you put new. I'm going to guess, this is just my wild, pull it out of my ear guess. Half of the world will not allow you to send used clothing, and that includes personal effects clothing, so clothing belonging to that person. Half of the world won't allow that into their country. So having the word new on clothing is really important. Now, it's not important for the harmonized code, but it is important for getting through customs. Okay, so having looked at that, what do you need to do? Well, here's my recommendation to you. When possible, get the harmonized code. Now, I know that your customer is undoubtedly, anytime you have a customer that has 10 or 12 things in the box will be the same time you get 3 people lined up behind them and the phone's ringing. It always happens that way. I totally get that. But do your best to get the harmonized codes. We do want the harmonized codes entered on the customs form and not handwritten later, because it actually uploads to the carrier. And that's part of the whole purpose of this, is to have everything happen electronically. So it's not something we can set aside and do later. So please try to get the harmonized codes. You will get better at it. It will get quicker. And I'm going to give you some tips. And then some things, if it's just too difficult to find the harmonized codes, make sure you have a super detailed description. So what countries are going to require this? So it is the entirety of the EU, European Union, plus Norway, plus Switzerland. Okay, so it does not include the United Kingdom. So the United Kingdom with Brexit is no longer a part of the EU. Here's what I think though, and I might have this on a slide later, but I'm just going to share it now. I think that we're in for more of this in the future. It would not surprise me if 15 years from now, we have to do this to every country in the world. It would not surprise me in 5 years if we have to do this for much of the world. So we'll see. how this progresses. And I know this is not something you signed up for when you got your store, because this is really, and you have to go through the questions of what if I get the wrong harmonized code type thing. So we're going to talk a little about that. So these are the countries. And then I want to talk about some other topics before we go and look at some harmonized codes. So some other topics that have hit us recently. This happened about a month ago. Many of you have called into our support. We get bombed with 2 or 3 of these calls a day because Indicia didn't let us know, and the post office didn't let us know. But you've had customers that you've sent to England or Scotland or Wales or Northern Ireland for many years, and everything's in the database, and they ship it regularly, and all of a sudden you don't get any post office rates for um, for going to England or those locations. There was a change made by the USPS, and Indicia had to follow it, and you have to change the country to the United Kingdom now. So it's officially the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So we're going to do just a bit of a geography lesson for those who are not geography experts. And this country right here, this area right here is Ireland. That whole island is Ireland. However, only the Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom. Okay, just that area there. The southern part, the lighter blue part, is called the Republic of Ireland, and it's a completely different country, not related to the UK. If you say that somebody in the Republic of Ireland is part of the UK, they will get really, really mad at you. By the way, if you say somebody from Northern Ireland is from the UK, they'll get mad at you too, but it's still true. They just don't want to be part of the UK. So politics, politics, politics. So just understand that, and please understand that Ireland is 2 countries, one part of the UK, Northern Ireland, and the southern part is the Republic of Ireland. So please be careful with that because it changes how things are. Republic of Ireland is part of the EU. Northern Ireland is part of the UK and not part of the EU. Oh, will this ever end? Okay. So we're going to review a couple of other things very quickly. So if you need more information on these other things, you're going to have to go watch the previous webinars because I'm not going to make everybody suffer through all of that. Just again, a reminder for Ear99 classification. This is when you are sending to China, Hong Kong, Russia, and Venezuela. If it's technology, it might be on the controlled list, and you probably should check with the carrier to see if you can send it and what you need to send it. If it's non-technology related, then you need to put in parentheses, EAR, ear, like your ear, 99, end parenthesis, on each line so of the item so that the customs officials know that this is not a controlled item. So this is a United States thing done to prohibit our technology and intellectual property from improperly entering those countries. So, I'm imagining if you were trying to do that illegally, that you would tell the truth on this form, right? Okay. Another story. All right, the other refresher we're going to have, there was a VAT, or that's value added tax, so it's a sales tax for the UK change, and it doesn't really affect our stores in 99.9% of the cases. So the rule on this real quickly is if your customer is selling something, so it's not a gift, they're selling something to somebody in the UK, maybe auto brakes for a Subaru, brake pads or whatever, then, and let's say the value is $80, that seller has to collect the VAT or sales tax for the UK. They have to get an account with the UK sales tax authorities, and they have to pay that sales tax. This is not a function of your store, and you don't do it. The only time your store would do that is if you happen to be a store that had a gift shop or some other part retail area, and you sold something to a customer in the UK, then you would have to collect that sales tax or VAT tax and file it with the UK. That almost never happens, but weird things. I just need to make it very clear. Steve, that's a really good question. Can Postmate add more space on the commercial invoice? No, we are completely limited by the carriers. I know it stinks how short things are, but we are completely limited size-wise by the carriers. if a customer is returning goods back to the UK, Darren, listen to me again, say this. If it is a sale going to the UK, then VAT would have to be collected. Sale. If it's a return, if it's a gift, it's not affected. If it's a sale. Okay. Okay. Let's get some harmonized codes. But here's what I need you to know. First of all, you can get them from Postalmate. You always have been able to. I shouldn't say always because our software's been around 30 years, but for a long, many years, you've been able to. We're going to look at it. So on the customs form, and we'll get there, finding a harmonized code is right here. That's the button, magic button you press. It's always been there as long as I can remember. And that's the button you're going to press to find the harmonized code. Now, I'm going to warn you, and you're not going to listen to me, but I'm going to warn you anyway. When you press that button, please don't contact our support team to help you find a harmonized code. They have zero training in this. They've not received that training. That's not a part of Postalmate. It's outside of Postalmate. I'm sorry if you have a hard time finding your harmonized code, and I'm going to give you as many pointers as I can, but our team can't be responsible for that. We need to stay relevant. So please just don't contact us if you can't find the harmonized code. Once you get the harmonized code, you're going to enter it right up here on the harmonized code line. And then what does it look like when you press that Find Harmonized Code button? It takes you to this website. Notice it's from the United States Census Bureau. And that's where we're going to go next. The one thing before we go next, I want to point out in the best way I can is when we're looking something up, and you're going to see how the flow goes, the one point I want to get to you is don't be afraid to click the plus sign. So on this one, I've got something in there and it has a plus sign down there in the starburst. And if you can't find what you're looking for, just keep clicking pluses and let it open up until you find the item you're going for. I know this seems like horrible. First of all, the website that we're going to is really ugly. So that doesn't help anything, but it isn't that difficult. Now, I guarantee I say that, and you're going to get some strange part coming into your store where it is difficult to find it. Let me just say that for most things, I think you're going to be able to find the harmonized code quite easily. For some things, it's going to be a real pill. So let's go do that. And I'm going to take us right out of Postalmate. And I've already got our customs form filled out here so that you can see where, and these are the things we're going to look up because I figure these are kind of similar to things you would send, right? So we're going to do the first one. We're going to do men's blue jeans. And we're going to click on Find Harmonized Code. And it brings up the ugly website. So we're going to put in, and I'm sorry, I typed so horribly here. Men's blue jeans. Okay, and then we're going to classify. And the more information or more detailed information you have up here, usually, not always, but usually the easier it is to find your item. So we're going to click classify. So it's going to want to know, okay, well, what's it made out of? Well, these are men's jeans that are for a man with a growing waist. So let's say it's 95% cotton and 5% spandex, right? Okay, accept. Now, men's or boys or trousers? Yeah, we know it's men's. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, Well, of cotton, not completely. Let's click the plus sign, right? That's what I taught you. Okay, I'm going to scroll down here. 15 down? No, there's no down in who gets down jeans, right? So it gets a little weird here, but we have another plus sign. Plus. Bib and brace overalls. No, it's not farmer jeans. Trousers and breeches. Okay, well, there's a plus sign. Let's click it. Oh, look, blue denim right here. That's what we're looking for. So now now you can copy and paste. If you don't know how to copy and paste, you're going to have to learn. You highlight it and click Control C, or you right click and copy, whichever you like to do. And then you take it over to Postalmate and you enter it, and you can make sure your cursor's there and you do Control V, or paste. You have to actually get rid of the blue. You have to have the cursor flashing. Oops, and I hit it twice. Well, that was dumb. Yeah, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, 1 down, 3 to go. You can see you are going to be earning your international money right now, right? So let's go do alarm clock. All right, we're back here, alarm clock. Okay, well, it doesn't have a radio in it, so just alarm clock. Classify. Watch movement. Now, here's a really interesting thing. It has this asterisk here. You see that dark blue asterisk. When you hover over that, it's going to give you some details. And in this case, it's telling you, is this like a watch movement that has, you know, the Swiss movements where you have the little gears turning and all those cool things? No, this is just a dumb alarm clock. Okay, so then it's other. Is it electric? Well, yes, it runs on batteries, but batteries are electric. So I'm going to say yes. Oh, and look, there it is. So that was pretty easy. We didn't have to go plus, 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 plus. So there we go. Now I want you to notice that the last 4 digits are all zeros. That's because this really is a pretty easy classification. And having the last 4, if you only can get 6 digits for some reason, just make the last 4 digits all zeros. It's relatively safe. It's basically putting it as more of a higher category instead of a subcategory. If they want more detail, they can go look at the item. I think in most cases, again, if you only see 6 that apply, entering 4 zeros is relatively safe. I'm not promising it, I'm saying relatively. All right, so let's go back to Postalmate. I'm going to click here until I see the cursor and then Control V. All right, child's doll, one more time here. All right, so I'm just going to put doll this time, see what happens. D-O-L-L. Oh, look at all the different options. Dolly, I like it, Dolly. But that's probably one of those things that moves boxes in the back of your store, right? So we're just going to say doll. Classify. Oh, we already got the whole number. That was stupid easy. That's how we wish all of them were. And look at all the zeros, because it looks like they classify almost all toys together. There's doll, carriages, dolls. There's dolls right here. See that? So I'm going to Control C that. Go back over, click again, Control V. Okay. Last one, webcam. Here we go. See what I'm getting into here. You can tell I thought this up this morning when I was staring at my webcam. There we go. Classify. Okay. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Television cameras? No. Well, let's click it. Call it. No, I don't think so. Let's go other. Camcorders? No, let's go other. Or more. No, 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 no. Boy, transmitting. This one's a little harder. You know what? It's digital still image video cameras. It's not 8mm. Other. It's not a camcorder. It's not really a. I'm going to go with this one because it has lots of zeros at the end. But on this one, this is one I don't know. You might go with this digital cameras. It's definitely a digital camera because it's a digital webcam. I'm going to go with either other or digital. I'm going to go this one. Somebody have a different opinion? Somebody who's a photographer have a different opinion? And you can see, you kind of have to guess at this. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to try. I'm really glad we had one where we weren't real sure. So you could see, oops, click, click, see how it is. Okay, so that's kind of how we do, and then we just go forward. So hopefully that makes you less afraid of this. And I want you to practice it in between customers today. Start practicing regularly with this so you can see. Also, if you're not comfortable with copying and pasting, start practicing that. If you forget how, just Google copy paste and it will give you instructions for that if you're not real computer savvy. So this is for goods to the EU. Okay, if the customs form comes up, this is what you're gonna do. The exception to that is going to be for FedEx, as you know, for documents, the customs form still comes up. And I do not believe you need to place any harmonized code for documents at this time. If I learn differently, I'll tell you differently. But I do want you to make sure that your description, and I think that we have a list on those descriptions, is as descriptive as possible. So let's see if I can get, it's always a chore for me to get back to my PowerPoint, and so that you can see where we are here. Okay, coming in July, just so you know, the VAT de minimis removable to EU. So what the heck is all that? So this is the gift exemption to the EU, or the free from duties and taxes part. The taxes part is going to be done away with. So basically, if you're sending somebody a birthday gift in the EU, beginning in July, and we'll talk about that then, it'll be subject to taxes but not duties, and those are two different things. You probably won't have to worry too much about it, but it's just a good thing to know. Again, it seems like the countries are starting to, this should be no shock, starting to tax more and more and more, and all the exemptions that we've had in the past are going away. Again, not a shock to any of us, I'm sure. Okay, so let's see here. Make sure, yeah, and this is only EU. So now we have question and answer time. You're going to have a lot of this. I thought this webinar was going to be an hour long plus question and answer. So I got through it quickly. What that tells me is that I may have gone too quickly. And if there's something else you need to see, I want you to let me know. We'll go through it. There is not going to be anything in PostalMate that tells you, oh, this is the EU and you have to do this and hold your hand through this. I'll give you the why on that. It would take a whole human being to constantly keep up on all the different changes internationally in our company for that. And if we made a mistake, then we get really yelled at. But here's what we are going to do. We are looking at, I'm not promising this, we are looking at adding a pop-up. I know we love pop-ups, right? Adding a pop-up reminding you that the harmonized code may be required. We would not restrict it to the EU countries, however. It would come up with all international. So it wouldn't be per line item, it would just be once per shipment. But we do want to remind you and your employees that having the harmonized code is a good idea. It does not affect APO, FPO, folks. We're talking about right now EU only, okay? Only if you're sending to an EU country. When you're sending APO, FPO, you're sending to the United States. Oh, it is in your best interest to start using harmonized codes to all countries. It's a really good idea for when you can find them. If it takes too long or you're not able to find one that you're certain of, just make sure it's a detailed description. Even if it's going to Mexico or Brazil or wherever, it's just really good practice because I think this is something that's coming. I don't think it's coming to everywhere real fast. I think that will have a season before it is, but it is good behavior. It is good to do. Now, I agree, Johnny. Your customer is going to go through this. Oh, I don't remember what all's in the box. Whine, complain, moan, groan. Okay, if that's true, you put down the things he remembers and say, if there's other things in there and they open it, it could get delayed and it could get additional taxes. He's either going to say, that's fine, I don't care. Or he's going to say, well, I guess we need to open it up. What I'm trying to get away from him doing is saying, well, I'll just take it somewhere else where they won't be like this. And that's why I want you to have that sign. There's a fine line between being really rigid in the way you present this to your customer and being soft and compassionate. I want you to aim for that soft and compassionate and have the written rule and say, I know these are brand new rules and this is a real trial. This is what the EU is doing. I'm sure it's tax related. They're going to collect more money. And we really would like to get this as right as possible to protect your so your receiver doesn't have to pay much in duties and taxes, if anything. Now, the question's going to come around, well, if you still had your store, Karen, what would you do? I would do exactly what I've just taught. I would get super, super good details, and I would try to get the harmonized code. But if I had 4 people deep waiting in line and I was the only person at the counter and there were 15 things in this package and the customer was hemming and hawing about what was inside, I probably would rely on super detailed descriptions because I really want to help those other people in line. But if I have one customer in the store and it's been a slow day and it's raining out and I have time to go do this with the customer and there's 3 things in the box, by all means, I'm going to try to get the harmonized code on that as best I can. Okay, and remember, this is uploaded with when you hit finish to get that label, it's uploaded to the carrier. That's what they want. They want to receive this electronically. Same thing with that Ear99, that's uploaded electronically. So if you forget to do it and try to add it on later, well, can they manually handle it somewhere down the line? Yes, but you could still end up with a potential delay. I don't know if they really mean a delay or if they just say that to scare us, by the way, but I'm told we could have a potential delay when it's not uploaded. You can't reprint the customs form later. You can't go back and edit a customs form and then reprint it. So once you print that customs form, that's the customs form. And remember, your customer's supposed to sign it. You can certainly reprint it, but you can't edit it and then reprint it. So, yes, everybody's going to get a link to this webinar and everybody's going to get to watch this later if they want to. I'm going to go back up here and try to get through some of the questions. Okay, so let's get on going through. And I'm sorry, it is difficult. We have over 400 people right now still on the webinar. And so getting through all the questions is a little bit of a pill. I do not anticipate there's going to be any pop-ups for China, Venezuela, Hong Kong, and Russia for the EAR messages. That's just something we have to know. These rules are not required for Mexico and Philippines, et cetera. It is only, these are very countries. Everything we've talked about today is extremely country specific. So when we're talking about the new EU rules, that's only the EU plus Norway plus Switzerland. That's it. When we're talking about the VAT, that's only the UK. When we're talking about the Ear99, that's only China, Hong Kong, Russia, and Venezuela. Okay. And yes, we're going to start needing a big giant chart on the wall to keep track of all this stuff. All right. There will not be a stop in Postmate if you don't enter the harmonized code, because the carriers are saying right now, because DHL is the only one responding, that they will try their best to accommodate you if you do not include the harmonized code. So I don't want to stop your shipment. I want you to collect the money. Again, detailed description is the key here. Yes, some of you are going, I may not offer international shipping anymore. That's a consideration. I wouldn't say that's the best thing to do, but at some point you might have to make that call. If you're a 1 or 2 person shop and you just do not have time for that and you're making boatloads of money without it and that's what you decide to do, then that's what you decide to do. Julie, that's a good point. Now, I honestly don't know what the rule for this is, but many countries, for example, do not accept chocolate into their country. And if they do accept chocolate, you need to say what country it's from. Mexico is one of those. You can't send chocolate to Mexico. And it's because Mexico is a chocolate producer. Same thing with parts of Europe. There are parts of Europe that are known chocolate producers. And so importing somebody else's chocolate in there, they frown on that. If you're in Belgium, they want you to eat Belgian chocolate. Frankly, that's the best chocolate to me in the world anyway. So making sure that you say where things are from and being clear on that is correct. Trey says he's going to provide a computer for the customer to find their own harmonized code, and that's perfectly doable. However, I will caution you, you're the shipping experts and your customer is coming to you and they are paying a premium coming to you. And so this is kind of you earning that premium or them justifying. When they see the work you have to do in this, they are less apt to question your prices. This also justifies you if you have been giving a significant discount in your international pricing. This might justify an increase in pricing. If you have to spend 15 minutes looking up harmonized codes for this customer, well, that's worth an extra $20 to me. So, of course, I'm expensive, so what do I know? There is not a way in Postalmate to add a surcharge for this. So sometimes we're asked by stores, they primarily want this to be able to charge an extra fee for people using a credit card, which I'll never understand stores that do that. Why are you charging people to pay you? That is, I'll tell you where that is as ridiculous as you having to pay UPS and FedEx to come pick up packages when you're giving them business. That's stupid, and so is charging for a credit card fee to your customer. It's a cost of doing business, folks. Deal with it. My opinion, getting off my soapbox now. Hopefully, I'm sure I offended somebody. It's not a good day unless I've offended somebody. But yeah, so wait a minute, I lost the question here. So just so you know, it is illegal in several states to have a button that just adds money to the bill for no particular reason or something, and not an exact charge. So no, there's nothing like that. Now you can add a button in Cashmate for a harmonized code lookup fee if you want. And if you remember to hit that button in Cashmate, that's a legitimate thing. But just adding something in the shipping side, no, there's not going to be anything like that. Shipping side, if you notice, only has surcharges and add-ons that are real from the carrier. Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Let's go here. We ship a lot of new, used, and remachined airplane parts. Does remachined count as new? I wouldn't think so. If I buy a car with a new engine, it's not a new car. It's just a new engine. So my gut says no. If they are returning something for the recipient, returned items are. I guess I'm not sure which of the different questions, which of the different international rules you're talking about in this. So I'm going to skip that so I don't give a wrong answer. This will take a lot of time for a single shipment. That is correct, especially if they have food, candy. Now, mind you, most countries don't even accept food. The general rule is if you put it in your mouth, don't send it. It gets very difficult to send. And I know this because my son lived in the United Kingdom for 2 years, and I sent him care packages. And I really could not include food because the United Kingdom would throw up every time I sent him something food. I mean, he had something quarantined because it had food in it and it was quarantined for 3 weeks. Food going to other countries, they just don't like it. Okay. And yes, you would have to put a harmonized code for every single thing. A pair of shoelaces, a doll, a bag of potato chips. I mean, yes. Is there a rate trick to go in and just add a surcharge? We went through that. Sorry, this skips down. I've told you that before, how hard it is getting through the questions on this. Some of your customers are going to have a problem with, they don't know what's inside, they don't remember what's inside, and they really don't want you opening it. And if you want to just try to get the best answers you can and the detailed description you can, I would really recommend, in fact, we're going to go there in Postalmate for international shipping, that you include a disclaimer saying that, it's the sender's responsibility to give very accurate, detailed descriptions of international items being shipped international. So let me see if I can get that. We'll cancel this. Sorry, guys. Give it a minute, and I have not opened the POS yet, but I'm just going to open that. trying to get through to other questions while we get there. So in Cashmate, going up to tools, come on, tools, wake up, tools. Yeah, I know. Options, register settings. Right here on receipt layout. This is your shipping disclaimer. It only prints when you're shipping a package and moving it over to Cashmate. This is where you're going to have things like your time in transits are estimates only and not guaranteed during coronavirus pandemic. I agree to all the terms and conditions of the store. International shipments without detailed or accurate descriptions may result in delays and additional fees. Okay. So those kinds of things this is where you're going to plug that. Yeah. Sorry if I misspoke. Yeah. Okay. You know what I think, not what I say. Isn't that what you tell your children? do what I think, not what I say. Okay. Harmonized codes are required for only the EU, not required for Asia or Africa at this time. This is effective on March 15th. It affects all carriers, except we don't know about post office yet. Only DHL has been proactive in notifying us. I imagine DHL will be sending you guys all an email shortly. I don't know. It's probably available in your DHL portal area or website area where you go for your account. Yes, you'll be able to watch this webinar later. Yes, I will definitely do that, Bruno. Sorry it took so long to get to your question. Let me pull that up. He wants the countries that are included in this. So let me get to that. Boom. Current slide. There we go. There's the countries that are included in this. If you want to take a screenshot of that or a cell phone snapshot of that, by the way, you can just Google current, make sure it's current, EU countries, and then add Norway and Switzerland to it. And you can print out a list and keep it by you. Yeah, Kim, that's a great question. What's the best way to get the contents? Obviously, the best way to get the contents, what the fabric is to be able to look at the label. If you have to guess, I mean, if somebody says there's a pair of blue jeans in there, I would certainly be comfortable guessing, 100% cotton. I don't think that's bad. In fact, the number is going to be probably the same for 100% cotton, because remember that harmonized code said blue jeans. So it didn't even, I don't think it even took into account the 5% spandex. So I think you can be relatively general on these things. I don't think it's completely, obviously if the blue jeans were made out of down, then it would have been a different number. Let's see. Okay. Brand names are not all that important. In fact, I'm not sure I would put brand names unless it helps to identify the item. So I'll give you an example. It's a foreign example. Well, I'll give you, we think of Kleenex for tissues, right? If you're in the UK, they don't have vacuum cleaners. They do, but they don't have vacuum cleaners. They have Hoovers. That's what they call them. So you may have grown up, instead of calling it a refrigerator, a Frigidaire. Same type of thing. So if it helps identify what the item is, then a brand name is okay. Otherwise, I'm not sure I want Sony on the description when I list camcorder. It's more important to say a home camcorder, rather, so that you can differentiate it from being a professional camcorder that a television studio would use. Completely different taxes, I imagine, on that. That poster that I showed is available at the RS website. Thank you, Elizabeth. Stephanie, she mentions our Postomate still has us entering all the weights. Yes, it does. It depends on the carrier. And if you've never noticed that, some carriers require on the customs form that you enter the pounds and ounces, and some carriers do not. I showed as an example DHL because they've been proactive in this. They do not require you to enter the weights. However, Post Office does, and I believe FedEx does. My screen looked different. Yes, it did. Okay, do we have to be exact on each piece of clothing in terms of materials? Come close, okay? If it's 5% silk and 10% rayon and 3% spandex and 14% cotton, come close. Just what do you think it's made out of? Is it stretchy? Is it cottony? That kind of a thing. I know, Siege. My premium just went up. Yep, my prices just went up too. Wait a minute, I get the same pay. Oh, good idea, Todd. Thank you for that. I will provide pads of paper so the customer can write out an inventory of what's in the box of the country so that I can enter it more quickly. And that's a good idea. You got 3 people in line. This is an international. Is there one thing in there or several things? There's several things. Okay, I'm going to give you a piece of paper over here. I want you to set you aside. I'm going to help the next customer real quick, but I need you to write out all the details of it, description, what it's made out of, where it's from, as best you can. You might even pre-print a few of these off of your copy machine and cut them in little, cut them in 4s, like, and so that you can try to get the detailed description and get all that stuff and let them fill that out. And that might help you to speed things up. Great idea, Todd. Thank you. We are not sure if this is required for USPS. We've not heard anything. Would I charge a concierge fee for looking up harmonized codes? That's a good question. I think I'll build it in. My fees for international shipping may have gone up. For those of you who, here's my philosophy on international shipping. I may not want to be more than the carrier website. I may, if I'm in a premium location, I might. But I don't want to be significantly less than the carrier website. So if the carrier website for a particular package is $140, I'm okay being $138, but I wouldn't be okay with being $130. Why would I want to leave $10 on the table? If I can say I'm cheaper than the website, if that's my goal, then $2 is good enough for me. And that way, that item still is only costing me probably $75 wholesale. So I'm still making out like a bandit on it, $60 and I'm happy, $68 and I'm happy. So yeah, so that I would certainly reevaluate my international prices and make sure that I'm earning enough on it. Is there a way to import the harmonized code? Oh, that's such a lovely question. And I wish there was, Tanya. I wish we could go to the Census Bureau and just click on it and it popped back over. Wouldn't that be cool? But no, it can't be done. Sorry. Yes, you can ring up a separate fee for, if you want to have a separate fee in your POS for harmonized code lookup fee or whatever you happen to want to call it. You can do that. You just have to remember to click that button every time you do this. Okay, apparently I was funny earlier. I'm funny all the time. My kids tell me that all the time. Mom, you're funny looking. Yeah, can you add a flat amount to your markup for international shipping to a specific zone? Yes, but it wouldn't be separated by anything on the receipt. It would just be an additional fee. So yes, it's a little complex. So you need to be an advanced setter, if you will, for rates. And I know I know who you are, so I know that you are pretty advanced. So yes, that can be done. So this is a non-related issue, but I touched on it earlier. UPS is starting to charge pickup fees again, and yes, they are. So to give you a little bit of history on this, because a third of you are new within the last few years, UPS and FedEx used to always charge pickup fees. And I want to say FedEx waived it or reduced it vastly. You'll have to tell me. And about 2 years ago, all of a sudden we noticed UPS stopped charging it completely to us, which was really cool. And they didn't announce anything, and they just quietly said, yes, we're doing this for you. It's really nice, but we can't really say anything. Well, now UPS is saying something, and they're coming back and charging again. I don't think they're charging the full $22 per week pickup. I want to say it's like 12, I've heard. I don't have any firsthand experience. I get all my knowledge from what you guys tell me. I think that is true. And yes, it is. I think it is everybody. So yeah. Oh, are document only shipments subject to the requirements? No, not generally. We ship a lot of antique vintage signs, not new. What to do? Okay, well, used signage, I guess, is what I would put. Used metal sign, I assume they're metal. I guess it could be wood, but when it's wood, you run in it, you're sending international, you run into a whole new basket of tricks. They're going to want to know where that wood is from and if it's been treated and all kinds of horrible things. So metal's okay, wood's kind of sketchy. So Stratford, the sale items was only the VAT to UK. That was the only time we invoked the sale items, not a gift. Okay. What if we run out of room on each line? I know. Well, first of all, you're probably going to need a lot more lines. The good news is, with the exception of USPS, you can add a line until you turn blue in the face, is my understanding. I've not tried it. That's what I've been told by development. So instead of being able to stuff a lot of similar things, shirt, pair of trousers, socks, sneakers on one line, now you're going to have each on a line, and it's going to be more specific. Men's sneakers or men's athletic shoes, men's socks, men's athletic socks, men's dress socks, those kinds of things. And it's one per line now. So you're going to have a lot more lines than you used to. No handout today. Sorry about that. I didn't see really a need for that, but when I ship international with FedEx, they charge duties and taxes to our account instead of charging the sender. So here's the way the duties and taxes go. We're going to talk about everything except international ground to Canada. Postalmate builds in duties and taxes with FedEx, UPS, and DHL to be billed to the receiver, the recipient, okay? However, if that recipient chooses not to pay for whatever reason, the carrier can still leave the package with them. They may and they may not. Depends on the driver and their policy there. If the receiver, and by the way, duties and taxes are paid the moment it crosses the border. Even if the receiver refuses it, that country can still claim to receive and to require the duties and taxes because it entered their country. That's why pre-uploading information is so important. So if the receiver refuses to pay, then all the carriers have agreed that they will bill the sender of record. Now, the sender of record is your customer. That's why for international shipments in Postalmate, your customer's name and return address will always appear on the label and on the customs form. It's because if the recipient doesn't pay, DHL, FedEx, and UPS need to know who to bill for the duties and taxes. However, only DHL has said they won't go any further than that. UPS has stayed quiet and won't answer the question, and FedEx has said it is possible that if the receiver does not pay, and if they cannot get your shipper to pay duties and taxes, they can bill the store. But they should have exhausted those other two first. So if you get billed duties and taxes on let's say an express shipment to Germany, you need to check and see why you're being billed and have them go for the other two people first. Now, international ground to Canada actually is the same rules, but FedEx is really bad about following those rules. And mind you, these rules are specific to you as an FASC location. Here's what that means. FedEx has what? Millions of FedEx accounts probably. Think about all the businesses and all the people in the world that have a FedEx account, okay? So millions of FedEx accounts. 4,000 of them get this out of millions, which means their billing department isn't familiar with this. The driver's not familiar with this. The customs people are not familiar with this. And when you call in, the person you talk to is not familiar with this. So that's why it's so hard if things don't go the way they're supposed to get things corrected. And that's true for UPS and DHL as well. So I can't make it better. Caesar, not sure what your question is. What happens if you use the wrong code? Well, you do risk the duties and taxes being lower or higher. So that is a possibility. So I'm asking you to try to be as confident as you can. There's a comment area. You can always enter in the comments that you're not certain on the harmonized code, but I would say you need to be relatively confident. If you are 90% sure that's right, like I am with the ones we did, and I'm comfortable. The webcam one, was it the webcam one we had a hard time? No, yeah. Webcam one was the one we had a hard time finding. I'm relatively confident that I got pretty close to it and that I'm okay that the taxes would probably be okay with that one. But then just so you know, A, I'm a stupid confident person, which can be a negative. And B, I'm bold. So I will take a risk where some of you may not. So that's for each of you to assess. Very good. We send a lot of EDD cards and credit cards to Europe. Do they need the harmonized code? Whoo. You know, I don't even know how to categorize that. I don't think that's considered a document because it is a thing. I'm not convinced 100% that you're allowed to send those things to those countries, but okay. Some countries you cannot send credit cards to. I know that. So I would have to look specifically to that country. Do they need the harmonized code? I would say yes, but some of these you may have to call the carrier on. I'm not going to have all the answers. This is brand new. By the way, we were told about this 10 days, 2 weeks ago, maybe. And so we will be, like I said, we will be looking at adding a pop-up reminder for harmonized codes. It will be in a future update. It's not critical. You can function without it. So it will be in a future update. We're still looking at that and how to word that. But oh, thank you. Okay. So, okay. $16.50 pickup fee for UPS. See how far behind I am on the questions? And $8 apparently for FedEx Ground. Okay. More if your bill is under $75 for UPS. Got it. Good. See, you guys are brilliant. What would I do without you? No. Andrea asks, is there any chance of getting a drop down for the most used harmonized code in the distant future? No. That is way too risky. Now, if you want to start creating a list of the most common things and have a list of harmonized codes, basically your own personal cheat sheet, and you want to do that, fine. If you belong to a franchise and your franchise wants to do that, that's fine. As PostalMate, as your shipping software, that would not be appropriate for us to do. That's more of a support for a group or your franchise or individually rather than your software company. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think we're pretty much through most of them. I'm sorry, there's still a few questions. If I missed your question and you still want it answered, email it to support and I'll be logging on. I've got a couple of things I got to do. I'll be logging on right away. If I can get to it right away, I will. Otherwise, it might be later in the day. But I'll try to get you the answer or give support the answer to the question so that they can answer it. So I want to thank you all for joining us. It's crazy. We still have almost 400 people logged in. So you stuck with us. Thank you for that. You will get the recording for this and you can speed through and rewatch just the parts you want if you want, or have your employees watch it. Appreciate it. And we're back on schedule, guys. So plan on one hot topic webinar a month unless I have other things exploding in my life at work. So, and that's what happened last month, by the way. So have a great week. Take care. It's been a pleasure with you. Adios, everybody. Bye-bye.